Welcome back to another one of my vectors and scalars videos. This one will be focusing on the cross product, or also known as the vector product. And this is the first episode. I'll do two videos because the examples will just take too long. I'll just do one example for one video and another example for another video. Anyway, let's get right into it. So, what is the cross product? First, you write it. You have your vector A and your vector B, and you do a big cross. Some people do a little cross. It doesn't. A big cross just it tells you that it's more cross product than multiply, so people don't get confused. But this cross product, you write it like that, just like how the dot product is that. This is the cross product. And it gives you a vector perpendicular to both A and B. Now, I've got a few colors here, so I'll try and say this is A and B. It's going up in the J direction, blue's going in the J direction, and a positive J direction, and red's going in the positive X direction. Now, if we do the cross product of these two values, it'll give us another vector perpendicular to both. So at right angle to both, which will be straight up, which will give us a vector in the positive k direction. Same if this was tilted like this, like on an angle, this would give us a vector coming out on an angle. It doesn't matter where it is. If you do the cross product of vectors A and B, it'll give you, if you do the cross product of this blue Sharpie and this red Sharpie, it'll give you it'll give you a vector for where the black Sharpie is, no matter where it is or where it's orientated. Okay? Now, that works when you have, just to show you how it sort of works, if you have, but yeah, hold on, I'll just do first, that means it equals a vector. So with the dot product, you did a vector dot another vector and you got a scalar. Here you're doing a vector cross a vector and you get a vector. Okay? Now, I'll show you, you have an arrow, say this is vector A, and here you have another arrow, say that's vector B, and you're going from A to B, A cross B, which is this direction, so this is the direction. That means that you'll have you'll have another vector coming out, or it'll be coming up, so out of the page. Okay, because if you have A and it's going in the direction of that, think of it as your hand. If your hand curls like this, and you basically put your hand like that, you make sort of a fist, and you have your thumb sticking up, and whichever your hand is if the graph is curling like your hand, it's curling in the anti-clockwise direction, the vector resultant will come out. And same if it's curling in the, if this is going the other way, say we were going B cross A, instead of A cross B, we're going B cross A, this direction would be changed. Therefore, we'd be going clockwise, and therefore we'd have a vector resulting downwards. But because we're going A cross B, we have a vector resulting upwards or in the positive k direction. Okay, think of it as a bolt. So if you have a bolt, that's a terrible bolt. But say you have a bolt, and if you, just like when you undo a bolt, righty tighty, lefty loosey, if you tighten it up, if you go clockwise, and then it'll tighten up and it will go down. That makes sense because you go clockwise, it goes down, if you can see that. But to undo a bolt, you do it anti-clockwise, which brings the bolt out. So that means, anti-clockwise, and it goes up. So think of it as a bolt if you ever get confused. When you turn a bolt in the clockwise direction, it screws in, and when you turn it in the anti-clockwise direction, it screws out. Anyway, now that that's done, let's get on to an actual example. So here we have example 1, vector A, 3, 1, 2, which also means 3i plus j plus 2k. So you have 3 in the positive I direction, you have 1 in the positive k direction, and you have 2 in the 1 in the positive j direction and 2 in the positive k direction. Notice I didn't put the 1 there, that's because 1 times j is just j. Anyway, now we have b, 5 dash 2, 1, which equals 5 in the positive I direction, 2 in the positive j direction, and 1 in the positive k direction. Now, there is like a formula that you can follow for doing the cross product, but it's kind of long, and I never really remember that. I just usually do the process and learn the process of doing it the way I do it, and I remember it every time. There's like a formula which has A's and B's and A1s and 2-1s and stuff, but I just remember just by practicing this simple way that I do it. So first we start off with A cross B, and that equals, well, you basically draw these two big lines, and inside you draw the components. You have I up the top, J next to it, and K next to that. And now you just write the A line and then the B line. So A would be, this is the I component for A is 3, the J component for A is 1, and the K component for A is 2. And for B, the I component is 5, the J component is 2, and the K component is 1. Okay, so basically you have your I, J, K, and you line up your A's, you line up your A vector with its components, and then you line up your B vector in line with its components. Okay, now here's the bit where people usually get tricked up. So this and the next bit. So you basically separate them into the components, what it will turn out to be. Okay, so basically what this says is you get a bunch of numbers for your I component, and then your J component, it will be a negative. So I think of it as I take J plus K, because it's, you take whatever the value you get for J and you add whatever the value you get for K. This comes with just practice. There's no like other way you can do it really. And first we basically split it up. So we're looking for 4 numbers. We're looking for 1, 2, 3, and 4, like numbers that will fit there. And to find the values for I, we basically cover up the I values, and we cover the top, and we have our 4 values that fit there. Okay, so our 4 values are 1, 2, 2, 1. So we put 1, 2, 2, 1. And now we need some J values. We need 4. So what we do is we cover up the J, and we cover the top, and the values we have are 3, 2, 5, and 1. 3, 2, 5, and 1. And then now for the K, or just like with all the others, we cover up the K values, and we're left with 3, 1, 5, and 2. 3, 1, 5, and 2. Okay. Now that we got that sorted out, we basically find the values for I. We do this step now where we multiply and subtract and whatnot, and I like to remember it as like a fish. That it might be the I, however you would remember it, but I like to remember that as being a fish. So you go this top value multiplied by the bottom right, and then you subtract it by this top right value multiplied by the bottom left. So that if you think of it as a fish, it goes like this. Okay, so you have 1 times 1. 1 times 1. And then you subtract. 1 times 1 subtract 2 times 2. 2 times 2. And that's your I component. Now for your j, you start with in the negative j direction. 3 times 1, so you go 3 times 1, take 2 times 5, like the fish. Top left down to bottom right, minus the top right, multiplied by the bottom left. So 3 times 1 minus 2 times 5. It's a j. I won't fit the k, so I'll put it in down here. Plus whatever you get for the k component. Now k, 3 times 2 minus 1 times 5. 3 times 2 minus 1 times 5. Okay. Just like a fish. That's a very bad fish drawing, but that's how I remember it. So, okay. Now, 1 times 1, that's 1. Take 2 times 2, that's 4. In the I direction, that's the I component. And then you have 3 times 1, which is 3. Take 2 times 5, which is 10. J. And then you add whatever you get here, which is 3 times 2, which is 6. Take 1 times 5, which is 5. Okay. Let's simplify it a bit more. 1 take 4. Well, that's negative 3. 3 take, or you minus 3 take 7, which is negative 7. Plus 6 minus 5, which is just 1. Okay. So, here you have 3 in the negative I direction. Negative and negative makes positive. So now you have 7 in the positive j direction. And you just have a k here. Because it's 1 times k. So you're going 1 in the positive k direction. And that there is the answer to A cross B. Now, I hope you learnt something from this video. Re-watch it and just practice the examples and look in the back of textbooks and for the answers and just learn this, because if you're going to be doing anything that's going to go forward with vectors and vector fields and whatnot, you're going to need to know these sorts of things. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you around.